Residential architect. Before any truck hits the lot, someone has to turn a family's needs into drawings. Every trade will measure from floor plans, elevations, door and window locations, roof lines, and the details. Inspectors and contractors will argue about. They meet with homeowners on budget, lifestyle, and how the house must fit zoning rules and setbacks. How close walls can sit to property lines, not just how big the owner wishes the kitchen were. When spans or soil conditions demand it, they coordinate with structural engineers for calculations. Those engineers must officially sign off on revised plans when the site surprises everyone and submit drawings as part of the permit application. Every trade builds from the same set of plans. Vague lines become walls in the wrong place, stalled permits, and expensive change orders. Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water, preserved today by the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy, is one of the most famous private residences ever drawn. A house shaped around its site and waterfall, showing how an architect defines not just rooms, but how a family lives in a place. Plans on paper mean nothing until someone owns the job site and pulls the first permit. General contractor. They run the full build, review the architect's plans for cost and constructability, obtain permits, hire subcontractors, sequence who can work when, and carry the risk when the chain breaks. A house involves dozens of specialists who never all work at once. Someone must decide the plumber is not scheduled before the framer opens the walls. They build a critical path schedule. Foundation must cure before framing, the roof must seal before rough-in accelerates. Order long lead materials, coordinate deliveries and inspections, and translate site problems into change orders. The client must approve. On many projects, the general contractor is not swinging a hammer all day. The core skill is coordination and risk management. One failed inspection can idle 5 trades. Mike Holmes, the Canadian contractor and television host behind Homes on Homes, became widely known for exposing work that skipped code and arguing that homes should be built right and properly inspected. The public face of what a GC is supposed to protect. Permits in hand, the first physical question is what the house will stand on. Foundation contractor. They prepare the site and pour the footings, stem walls or slab that transfer the entire weight of the house into the ground. They confirm lot stakes and setbacks before digging. Dig out the earth to the depth on the plans. In cold climates below the frost line. How deep the ground freezes in winter, so footings sit under that freezing depth. Set wooden forms. Place steel reinforcing rods or wire mesh inside the forms. Pour and finish concrete and install anchor bolts where the framing will attach. Everything vertical rests on what this crew puts in the ground. A cracked footing, heaving slab, or misset anchor bolt forces expensive rework before a single wall goes up. Foundation type shifts with climate and soil. Slab on grade in warmer regions. Basements and deeper footings where ground freezes. The same plan may need different details in different states. Levittown, the post-World War II suburban development built by Levitt and Sons on Long Island, used repeated slabs and house models to put thousands of homes in the ground quickly. Foundation crews working in rhythm, so mass home building could keep moving. Concrete must cure to strength before anyone can stand walls on it. Framing carpenter. They build the structural skeleton. Floor joists, wall studs, headers over openings, and roof framing or prefabricated trusses lifted into place. They lay out wall lines on the slab, sheath exterior walls and the roof deck for rigidity, cut rough openings for windows and doors, and square the structure before the next trades depend on it. Most modern North American homes use platform framing, one floor deck at a time, walls raised then upward. Safer and easier to inspect than the old balloon framing era. Framing turns a flat foundation into rooms. Until the frame stands, there is nowhere to run wire, no interior volume to heat, and no roof geometry to cover. Amish barn raisings, communities erecting a large timber frame in a single day, are a vivid picture of framing as teamwork. Many hands hitting one milestone together. The same dependency every house frame depends on, just spread across weeks instead of hours. An open frame is vulnerable until something keeps the rain out. Roofer. They install underlayment over the roof deck, flashing at chimneys, vents, and wall intersections where most leaks start, and the shingles, metal panels, or tile that make the shell weather-tight. In cold climates, ice and water shield at eaves and valleys helps block ice dams. Ridge vents let attic moisture escape. Vent pipes from plumbing and HVAC must flash through the roof without gaps. An open frame without a roof is one rainstorm away from warped subfloors and ruined insulation. The roofer is the person who lets everyone inside work as if the house already has a lid. After Hurricane Andrew in 1992, Florida overhauled its statewide building code, including stricter roof-to-wall connections and wind-resistant standards for fastening in hurricane-prone regions. Changes roofers and inspectors still enforce today. Inside a dry shell, 2 invisible systems must run while studs are still visible. Licensed electrician. They install the service panel, coordinate utility connection, and run circuits through open walls during rough-in the phase while studs are still exposed before drywall hides the paths. Inspectors must still see. They size wire and breakers to expected load, set boxes for switches and outlets, ground the system, and add shock and fire sensing protection where code requires. In kitchens, bathrooms, and other wet or high-risk areas, electricity is invisible and unforgiving. Wrong gauge wire, overloaded circuits, or missing protection in wet areas create fire and shock risk. In a wood frame box, people sleep inside. Residential work in the United States follows the National Electrical Code, published by the National Fire Protection Association and adopted locally with amendments. Electricians build to the code in force, not personal habit. Thomas Edison's laboratory at Menlo Park, now preserved as a National Historical Park, sits in the story of how homes moved from gas lamps to wired power and how a century of code grew from early fire lessons. Modern electricians inherit. Electricity is half of rough-in. Water and waste need the same open wall window, and on many job sites, the plumber is there the same week. Licensed plumber. They install pressurized supply lines and the drain waste vent system. Every pipe that carries waste out and vents sewer gas away. Pipes sloped so waste drains by gravity. Vent stacks, keeping traps working sewer gas out of the living space. They stub out tubs and showers before walls close. Pressure test lines for leaks. Coordinate vent penetrations with the roofer, and set fixtures at trim out when finishes are done. Under every sink, the P-trap, that U-shaped pipe, holds a water seal. A simple shape with a critical health function. A house without working plumbing is not habitable. One wrong drain slope causes lifelong clog problems. One missing vent sends sewer gas indoors. Joseph Bazalgette, the 19th century engineer who designed London's modern sewer network after cholera outbreaks, is not a residential plumber, but he showed why waste systems are public health infrastructure that continues in every home's DWV stack today. Systems are roughed in, but no one moves in because a contractor says so. Building inspector. They represent local government on the job site, reviewing work against adopted building, electrical, plumbing, and mechanical codes, and signing off before the next phase proceeds or before anyone legally occupies the home. Foundation, framing, rough electrical, rough plumbing, insulation, final walkthrough. Common stops where failed work must be corrected and re-inspected. They verify structural connections, safe exits, smoke and carbon monoxide alarms, stair and railing dimensions, minimum standards that exist because buildings kill people when done wrong. The Hyatt Regency walkway collapse in Kansas City in 1981, investigated by what is now the National Institute of Standards and Technology, is taught worldwide as a failure of review case. Inspectors on every smaller build are the checkpoint that says the chain actually met code, not just looked fine. When the work passes, many cities issue a certificate of occupancy, the document that says the house can be lived in and that lenders and buyers often require. One empty lot, 8 milestones, one chain of people, each trade waiting on the person before them, each inspection gating the next until an inspector's sign-off turns their labor into a home someone can walk through.